The next thing we're going to talk about is nervines, or nervous system supportives. And remember I said with adrenals, with adaptogens, you always should add nervines. So I often ask my naturopathic students, how do you decide on what nervines to put in your formula? Is it just like throw them all in the pot and let's just see which one works? And I find that a lot of retail supplements, if you look at sleep formulations or anything with the nervous system, they just pile them all in because they figure, well, one of them's got to work for somebody. But let's try to look at them a little bit differently. I look at a lot of homeopathic provings to look at the energetics. There's some other books that specifically Matthew Wood, who's a herbalist in the US, he really gets into the energetics of herbals and like really putting a personality around that plant. And that way it's a lot easier to decide if that plant is for you or if it's for your patients. It's a really good way of teasing out which one you want to use. So valerian, it's about the valerian person is taking on other people's problems. So an example, I've got a nurse, a retired nurse. She comes in and her labs always look awful and she's never doing anything else because she's always helping everybody else. It's like Mary down the road and I can't get this person to do this one thing that I want them to do, right? That is the valerian type of person. That AAA personality who's very meticulous, who's always on the go, who always has to have the exact thing done. That's very good valerian. I often it's not even really a sleepy herb for them. I will put a very small amount of valerian in a daytime formula for somebody so that it'll just kind of chill them out a little bit. They'll just be able to sit with themselves and be with themselves. And a lot of times when people are talking about other people, it's maybe that they feel a little bit more uncomfortable being with themselves. They're not really in tune with themselves. Then we have California poppy, or Eschscholzia californica. I love that herb. It's fantastic when sleep modulation is off. So it's really interesting. Another one of those amphoterics that can deepen your sleep or it can lighten it up. So in bedwetting in children, they're sleeping too deeply. So they bedwet. I mean, there's all kinds of other reasons too, but giving Eschscholzia really helps to modulate that depth of sleep. From the other side of things, if you're not sleeping deep enough, if you wake up from noises, if it's hard to get to sleep, it's hard to get into that really deep dream sleep, then Eschscholzia or California poppy is a really good way to normalize that. Passion flowers for a busy mind. It's also for people who are caregivers, people who look after other people. Then we have Nepetacataria, and I love the Latin name of that one. It just sounds really, really cool. Nepetacataria is catnip. And this past summer, I decided to grow some catnip, and I was like, oh, I'm so happy. My catnip plant grew really, really tall, and it was really fantastic. And then all of a sudden, I noticed all these cats in my backyard. And I was like, what are these cats all doing in the backyard? I didn't get it. And then over the next couple of weeks, I noticed that they were eating all my catnip. All the cats are getting stoned in my backyard. It was like I didn't have any catnip left for myself. But it's actually a fantastic carminative. It orders peristaltic movement. It helps to relax the muscles around the digestive tract. So it's perfect if there's colitis, IBS, any of those kind of digestive things. It's also a great nervous system relaxant. It's a bit of a lymphatic. It helps to drain and improve immune function as well. So really great herb. Anemone pulsatilla. It's not really used very much as a herb because it's got some toxicity, but it's great for dealing with post-traumatic shock, any kind of instant shock, like an acute kind of scare, or somebody who's really jumpy. When you come up behind them, they get really scared. That's high sympathetic tone. Anemone is really good for that. Melissa, or lemon balm, is great for seasonal affective disorder. It's also good for maintenance and overwork. And for menopause, it's a really great nutritive, really high in minerals. Fantastic herb. It's also great antiviral. Just a little bit of a note from an endocrine point of view is that Melissa can decrease thyroid function. So if somebody is incredibly hypothyroid, you just want to make sure you use small doses of Melissa. Then we have red clover, or trifolium, and that's a really fabulous herb because it is very much a nutritive. It's a great detoxifier, and typically with any skin conditions, you want to use red clover. Another little tidbit about red clover is that it contains things called saponins, and what saponins do, like soaps decrease surface tension so that when you're washing your dishes, fat comes off of your dishes, all the lipids come off, all the oils. And same thing happens in the gut, that it generally just gently irritates it a bit, decreases surface tension so that anything that you have in that formula gets better absorbed. Licorice contains saponins, and that's one of the reasons I think in Chinese medicine it's known as a harmonizer, because it actually improves the absorptive quality of everything else. So red clover will do that, and it's great in teas just for that reason. Linden is one of my favorite herbs. North American cousin, well, there is a North American linden. There's also the tree basswood, which has the same florets on it, and fantastic mucilaginous herb, so it helps to build the gut glycocalyx. It's also really great for the cardiovascular system, settle down the heart, it's great for palpitations, and it's really, really relaxing to the nervous system. And there's a local herb called wild lettuce, and maybe many of you have seen it around if you live on the West Coast. It interacts with dopamine, and they don't really understand why. It's one of those lesser known herbs, but because it's around here so much, I included this one. It's really for that, teenager on the couch, the slouchy, I don't want to do anything person. Dopamine really helps with motivation, and that's why they're thinking that it kind of modulates that neurotransmitter in some way. It's for negative thinking, lack of motivation, and really, really great for sleep. The last one is blue vervain or verbena. It's really fantastic for cleansing of negative energy, for hopelessness, and long-term grief, where you just can't seem to shake this feeling when you've lost a loved one. It could be a pet, it could be another person. It's very good at that. Another one that works really nicely and pairs really nicely with blue vervain is rose. Rose also really mends wounded heart energetically.